Welcome back, everybody. Dr. Zeke here, and today we are going to cover a very popular topic, premenstrual dysphoric disorder, and later on in the next video, we're going to look at premenstrual syndrome, PMS. These are very common issues that we see, especially myself when I'm working with somebody that is still having a regular cycle, and at times they will find certain times of the month very hard for them to get good quality sleep, or they wake up just feeling like they've been hit by a car. So with this, we're going to talk today and really cover mainly PMDD, as in what is that? What are the different types of scenarios when it comes to PMDD? Because you might find yourself fitting into one scenario the majority of the time, and then the next month you're in a different scenario. So these scenarios can change if you are showing the symptoms as well as some of the root causes of these things that can occur. And then lastly, we're going to look at what type of treatments are out there, conventional versus holistic, and really open those up and just kind of talk about some of the benefits of some and some of the disadvantages as well. So without further ado, let's start talking about what is PMDD. Now, most of us know it as severe mental and physical symptoms. Now, you kind of have to have both, but it's almost like a more severe form of PMS. Now, when we look at this, this can be very disabling. It gets in the way of your daily activities as well as your relationships. You might find, just being more kind to your friends or your spouses or your family members might be a little bit more difficult because you are really struggling with emotional and physical things. Now, let's kind of check out the onsets and how these can change. And you can kind of decide, do I fit these scenarios or this scenario? Now, scenario one is when the symptoms start mid-cycle. So typically after ovulation, when you have the peak amount of estrogen in your body, and it becomes worse as the cycle approaches. But those symptoms typically end when your period begins, okay? Now, scenario two, the symptoms start the week before the menstrual cycle starts, right? And it really just ends 1 to 2 days after that cycle. So it kind of really is the worst week. I see this most commonly. Scenario three, not as common, but I notice symptoms start at ovulation, then they get kind of a break, and then symptoms start up again a few days before the menstrual cycle begins. And it basically, as it just kind of reoccurs as that cycle begins. So it really is just giving you that break. Now, the last one to me sounds the most severe. Scenario four, symptoms start at ovulation. It becomes progressively worse and then finally ends within 5 to 7 days of your cycle. So that's like right after your period for most people. This can be the worst. This almost sounds like an overlapping symptoms of what we consider dysmenorrhea or menstrual cramps. If you have questions about that, go back to video 1 of this series, or I guess video 2. Where we talk about dysmenorrhea. You can get a lot of information and see how these two kind of work into play. So if this is your scenario, really look at that first video that I did about dysmenorrhea. Now let's talk about some of the symptoms. Now with PMDD, you typically have to have 5 or more. And when you just look at the first few, you notice, oh, well, it's definitely me. So difficulty concentration, staying focused, fatigue, tiredness, loss of energy, feeling out of control, insomnia, or wanting to sleep too much and noticing you're sleeping a lot, marked anxiety and tension or edginess. So if you have 4 of those already, then combine that with anything physical, right? So if you noticed, weight gain, bloating, breast tenderness, headaches, muscle or joint pain, remember, it has to be both, right? Mental and physical. But majority of these are all, very much emotional and physically. So just kind of take a look at that, take a screenshot, kind of write those down. Now, when we look at these symptoms and kind of how conventionally our doctors are going to treat them, you typically have these 4 common treatments. Now, the first one is anti-anxiety medication. So think of medications like sertraline, fluoxetine or Prozac, Paxil, paroxetine, escitalopram, Lexapro, citalopram. I mean, these are all different types of SSRI medications. Now, one thing your pharmacist would probably tell you is that when you start these medications, you typically start at the lowest dose possible, because starting at a normal dose, like for a depression or anything like that, can really amp up anxiety to begin with. So most doctors will put you on a 2-week supply of benzos, which I don't like, because a lot of times people don't take the anti-anxiety meds. They end up taking the benzos, and now they're hooked on benzos. So be very careful. Really talk to your pharmacy about how I should taper this up if you go this route. Next one is diuretics. These make you pee. They're called water pills. So as you can imagine, all that bloating, you need to flush some things out. So they will prescribe those. I don't like diuretics because a lot of times they deplete you of things like sodium, potassium, magnesium, chloride, all these nutrients that you would normally otherwise keep by just peeing normal. You'll get depleted, and you'll find other stressors in the body, neurologically, and other things. So I'm not a big fan of diuretics. Paxil is an anti-anxiety medication. It's an SSRI, so kind of in that same spot for the first one. And then Yaz, things like birth control, right? A lot of this drospirenone, it's a synthetic estrogen, very potent, and it's something that I would never recommend, because with oral estrogens, it has a slew of side effects that you really want to open up and talk to your doctor about before you really understand the effects of what this one harmless medication can do for your overall health. But if you're looking, maybe I don't want to do that yet, what are the holistic options, the lifestyle modifications that I can look in? First of all, try separating your meals, right? Giving yourself about 5, maybe no more than 5. A lot of literature says 6 small meals per day, so you don't overwhelm your body. You don't keep very bloated or anything like that. But usually in the beginning of your cycle, if you can exercise, walk a lot, that really helps to just take away a lot of the stress and discomfort. And as these symptoms are progressing, you do want to get outside, you want to walk, you want to move, because moving really helps to loosen up a lot of things too. Now, when you look at these others, right, increasing your complex carbohydrate and protein intake, it basically is talking about eating a nutrient-dense diet. Now, what does that mean? You're looking at vegetables that can help remove certain types of hormones like estrogen if that's too high. Let's say you do some saliva lab testing and you find that a lot of free estrogen as well as low progesterone. So you might want to be eating more cruciferous vegetables. Of course, protein intake, we don't want to overdo protein a lot of the times. I know a lot of experts out there will say you should be having so much protein because you're working out, doing all this stuff. But in reality, lean protein, fish, chicken, you do want that because amino acids in protein are the building block of how you get rid of things, how you build things, and literally how you stay healthy. Now, this one people are going to hate. Limited intake of alcohol, caffeine, salt, and refined sugar. That's literally everything that America is born on, right? When you look at that, alcohol is so harsh on your body, and it depletes you of a lot of minerals that otherwise would help with hormone balance or keeping you just feeling healthy and nourished. When you look at caffeine, it's putting a lot of stress, especially if you are someone that drinks caffeine on an empty stomach. A lot of people have indicated or shown that, it just gets them the jitters. It stresses out their body. And we can definitely see your blood sugar roller coaster and other things occur when you're just on caffeine. Salt, having just too much salt can really bloat you. And then, of course, refined sugar. You don't want so much sugar. It's a quick fix a lot of the times. It helps with certain things. But when your body has to really eliminate sugar, just like it does alcohol, you do deplete a lot of nutrients as well by doing so. Now, a lot of people have done things like psychotherapy, really just kind of walking through, being more intuitive on what they're feeling, being present with it, and just kind of redirecting their mind so it doesn't fully take over their whole life. And that's a lot of things that we do today in our health. We're constantly distracted, but when it comes to one small thing or one thing that, we might even have like 5 days out of our cycle, we really seem to draw a big picture, which takes away of the good things. A lot of individuals benefit from hormonal therapy because, like I said, when you test your hormones, you find there's an imbalance. Getting with a trained physician that knows how to balance hormones, knows how to supplement your hormones and get those balanced can really help out. And then lastly, chasteberry, that's a supplement. Comes from, it's like a chasteberry is one of the supplements. And a lot of times we do see that there could be an imbalance of progesterone, low progesterone, and therefore progesterone, remember, from day 14 to start of your period, that's kind of the time where progesterone is supposed to be in the limelight. So sometimes we've seen chasteberry or supplements from the chasteberry be able to help supplement. It increases luteinizing hormone, which increases progesterone. It also helps to balance the estrogen and does so many more things. So that's all I want to leave y'all today. This is a super quick video, which I'm excited about because normally it's a lot longer. But next time that we talk, we're going to talk about PMS, the many symptoms associated with PMS. And we're going to talk about all the body parts of what you can feel, where, and when. The root causes of PMS. It's going to be kind of bulky, but I really want to go and dive so you can red flag your symptoms and say, oh, that might be me, or I might want to talk to my doctor about that. And then what are the dietary considerations as well as helpful supplements? Like always, guys, this information is educational only. Please do not take this medication and replace it with your doctor's plan that is customized for you. So as always, please like, share, and follow if you like this content, and really shoot some questions down below if you have any questions or future ideas of videos that I can cover as a sleep coach and pharmacist. So once again, thank you for tuning in. I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye.